answering reporters' questions. Let's listen.
Went to the security checkpoint, went through the metal detector, and then there was some challenges and issues with the swab machine. I didn't work the first time properly. I was asked to remove my turban. They did another test, and I was ultimately allowed to go through. So for me, this was really about, again, an incident that occurred that should not have occurred because I was asked to come back from the gate, back to the security checkpoint to remove my turban once again. And then once they realized my position, who I was ultimately allowed to fly. But for me, this is an issue, I think, that speaks to discrimination, and discrimination happens with many people. And I'm in a very fortunate position to talk about it. That's why I'm here today at the Women's Forum, to talk about the importance of diversity. That's why I'm here today to talk about why we need to focus on diversity and inclusion, why we need to have better education and awareness around these types of issues so we can create a more inclusive society.
Can you just tell us how you felt when you were asked to remove it?
Obviously, that was very frustrating. I felt very awkward. It's not something that I expected. I've traveled to the U.S. on many, many occasions. I'm heading next week to San Francisco as well. And so I felt, that this was unnecessary. But ultimately, I was able to travel. I raised this issue with my colleague, Chrystia Freeland, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and senior government officials in Canada. Also spoke to senior U.S. officials who ultimately said that they regretted the incident and apologized. I accepted that apology, and we're now talking about how to, again, focus more on education awareness and how we can move forward together.
Did you actually remove your turban?
No, I was asked to remove my turban, but I did not remove my turban. Again, the focus for me really is about challenges other people face, other community members, other individuals who travel. Discrimination has no borders. This occurs from the classrooms to the boardrooms, and that's why I'm here today, to talk about, again, the importance of diversity. I'm proud to be part of a government that believes in diversity, that believes in inclusion. We're part of a government that has a gender balanced cabinet, a diverse cabinet. So this is a point of pride for Canadians, and this is a point of pride for me as well. And I'm very fortunate to be in a position to talk about this publicly and to raise this with my counterparts in the U.S.
How far do you think this would have gone had you not been who you were?
I don't know how this would have played out ultimately, but my hope is now that I'm talking about this, now that this has come to public light, that we can avoid these type of instances going forward. Again, discrimination occurs in so many different places. As I mentioned, discrimination has no borders. These are challenges Canadians face here and abroad, and I think it's incumbent upon me and our government to talk about these issues. We say diversity is our strength, but we need to make sure that we focus on the education, we focus on a better dialogue and a better understanding.
Is it the first time you've experienced this in an airport?
Yeah, so I've traveled many times to the U.S., and I travel internationally quite frequently as well. This is actually the first time this has occurred. This is the first time I was asked to remove my turban, and hence why I was very frustrated and disappointed that this occurred. But ultimately I was allowed to fly, but it was because of who I was, and that should not be the case. It doesn't matter what your status is, what your position is. It's really about making sure that people are not discriminated against, that people are treated fairly and with respect, and that's what our government is about. That's what I represent. This is why I got involved in politics. It's about making sure people are treated with respect, and that's why I'm actually honored to be here today at the Women's Forum to talk about government legislation that promotes greater board diversity, that talks about more women on boards, that talks about greater diversity of perspectives and ideas, and those are the values that people are really proud of. Those are Canadian values, and I'm proud to talk about them in Canada and abroad as well.
One more question.
What do you say to Sikhs traveling, if you can, in English and in French, who aren't able to wait until the passport and kind of get the authorities?
Well, first of all, security is important. We have to make sure that there's no compromise when it comes to security. I was very clear with the officials there. This was a priority to myself and other passengers as well. But at the same time, making sure that the process is properly followed. There's technologies, there's procedures, there's training in place. Sikhs do travel. I travel quite a bit as well. So it's important that, again, we focus on the importance of understanding people of diverse backgrounds, of people of different faiths, that go through security, that they understand that there is a process in place, and that process should be followed. And in this case, that did not occur. And it doesn't matter who you are or what your status is or who you know. It's really about making sure that we have to talk about these challenges that occur. And for me particularly, again, discrimination is something that I've seen far too often, and I've seen it with so many people of so many different backgrounds. So many Canadians can relate to this story because of the challenges that they face themselves, and that's why as a government we've taken upon ourselves to talk about these issues in a very open, transparent way. We've focused on, again, the importance of diversity as well.
Would you have actually considered interpreting further threats?
Yeah, depending again on how the process would have unfolded, I'd be more than willing to accommodate and understand again the importance of security. I understand how important security is, but proper process needs to be followed. We have the technology, we have the knowledge, technology, the training as well, and the process and procedures as well. But for me, again, this was very frustrating. It was unnecessary, and I'm very fortunate to be in this position to raise this with my counterparts in the U.S. And they obviously regret what happened. They apologize, and I accept that apology. Ce n'est pas une bonne situation pour moi et pour beaucoup de Canadiens. Ce n'est pas nécessaire. À mon avis, nous devons continuer à travailler fort pour tous les Canadiens ici au Canada et partout, tout le monde. Et c'est nécessaire pour notre gouvernement parce que notre gouvernement comprend l'importance de la diversité. C'est une priorité pour notre gouvernement. Et nous allons continuer à travailler fort pour tous les Canadiens.
We will continue to work
Merci.
for all Canadians.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
everyone.